Well, hello, Kevin.
Well, hello there.
How are you?
I'm fantabulous. How are you?
You know, I'm not caffeinated as much as I should be, and
Oh,
that's probably a problem.
my my wife just picked up some bubbly, and
Probably.
we didn't know it's a carbonated soda beverage.
Okay.
So it's flavored peach and mango,
Okay.
but it's caffeinated
Oh,
flavored water.
interesting.
It
I
was
know,
it was
right?
yeah, indeed. I was skeptic. I saw it. It was a total. You know, we just saw the flavor and was like, oh, mango. We didn't perceive that it said caffeinated,
Yes,
but there's pretty much no going back.
that's true. That
That
is
that
true.
that the genie's out of the bottle.
I like it. I like it. Well, before we go any farther, who are you?
Well, my name is Kevin. I go by Cloud Knoll on the intertubes. I'm an engineer over at Red Hat working on the Openstack platform.
And hello, I am JJ Asgar. I'm a developer advocate for the IBM Cloud, and y'all are here to watch two nerds kind of try to get this thing called OpenStack working. Um, so we this is part two of n number of parts. We don't actually know how many we're going to go here. We've planned for a few, but this is our second time at it. And I'm going to spend a couple minutes here just talking about what we did last time, and then the success that we've moved forward with. And then hopefully Kevin and I, or Cloud Null, I'm going to call them both back because it's stuck in my head both ways.
Hey you,
Um,
yeah,
there you
that
go.
works. Hey you just
Nice.
works. Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. And then we'll share some screens and continue moving down our path. Um, so, so Kevin, uh, what did we try to do last week?
Well, last week we came together and failed spectacularly.
That's about
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so it was a good plan though, and we started off using the provided images that the cloud provides, which is great. And it was starting off with RHEL, and so we were like, "Yeah, we're going to deploy the latest OSP release." And we started moving towards that. And as we were going through it, we realized that the base OS that we could get access to was the wrong release.
Hmm. Yes. So
Yeah,
so we learned that so OSP, which by the way stands for
OpenStack
Open
platform. Sorry.
OpenStack Platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't actually
I was
know.
I was like, is there a period or a comma? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So we learned that the most recent release of RHEL, which was 8.4 for us on the IBM Cloud, um,
it was eight
OSP
five.
8.5. Thank you. That's
Yes,
right.
this was eight
That is right.
five.
If it was 8.4, it would have been okay.
Correct. If it was 8.4, we could have made it go.
Yes,
That's
but
a perfectly supported version of RHEL. Yep.
yes, and but 8.5 is not. And
Not
if you'd
yet.
like,
Soon.
not yet. True, true,
Yep.
true. Um, but if you'd like to see the hoops that we jump through,
Yeah.
watch the video before on the playlist that we'll have this built off of. And it is a very good example of what you should not do.
Totally.
Uh, this is we went off the beaten path, off the reservation, and got lost in the woods.
Yeah.
It's as a safe way to describe it.
Yeah. We were not coloring outside the lines. We were
And
coloring in a totally different book.
exactly,
Yeah.
we got a completely different
Yeah.
book and
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
playing inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a very good lesson. There's a lot of conversations out there of like build versus buy, and what we did is we really did show that with two people who do this day in and day out, when in an hour's time we couldn't even get the OS to the place where we could even trick it into thinking about doing its thing, which is not good. So, do the right thing and do the
Yeah.
supported way, which is the rest of this adventure. Am I right?
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. If you follow the instructions, it generally works.
There you go.
Uh, yeah.
So Kevin, uh, we are moving towards the supported way. So I'm gonna I'm going to let you run off and go do something, and as soon as I share my screen to show what's going on, but I would like to kind of give a moment here. So I'm going to bring in my screen, and there we go. We have a new Undercloud machine, and then there's Kevin typing away. And so if you look here, the beautiful thing about this is that our machines are now CentOS Stream 8. So TLDR, Calvin, what's Stream?
Stream is it is what's coming out of RHEL.
Mm-hmm.
It's CentOS, but it's the forward release of RHEL. And so what we're going to do now is deploy OpenStack TripleO, which is what OSP is built off of, using our upstream resources.
Perfect. So while Kevin starts typing away on that, I'm going to quickly pivot and bring up another screen here. This right here, if you've never seen it before, this is a Windows machine. This is not Linux. And the machines inside of IBM Cloud, you actually have access to something called the IPMI, which is the bare metal interface to it. Sure. So let's just take a quick little aside to say that these are not like desktops, right? So usually when you install an OS on a desktop or for their laptop in front of you or whatever, you have access to a screen and then a keyboard to type directly into it. Well, in a data center, they need some way to be able to access the screen so you can install OSs onto the machines remotely. Back in the day, there was something called a crash cart that you'd actually physically plug in a machine. And nowadays, because we're all on the internet, and most of the time when you ask for a machine from like AWS or GCP or IBM Cloud, because you should be using IBM Cloud, you would get a VM, a virtual machine. Well, IBM Cloud also gives you opportunity for bare metal machines, and that's what this is here. This is called a Supermicro, and it actually gives you an interface directly into the remote console, as you see right here. Right here. And it sits here, and yes, it runs Java or HTML5. And yes, I am reusing IE. It's because, computers. But the beauty of it is that it really is just like it is, well, this is the one. It is actually the interface directly into the machine. So if I do top, we see what's going on here. If I type W, you see I'm just logged into it. So this would be like me looking at the screen right then and there. Oh, and here it is again because Java is nice and fast. So it's neat, right? So what I ended up doing is I ended up using the virtual media here. I plugged in an ISO file, which was the where is it? The downloads. As you see here, I did the boot stream. Initially, I did that. I did the latest first because I couldn't actually get it on the internet, which is actually a question I have for you in a second here, Kevin. Where I ended up eventually putting on the boot latest. I booted into the micro and installation machine, if you will. I attached it to the internet. I pulled down the new version, installed it to the hard drive, and then Bob's your uncle. I had CentOS Stream. The beauty of this is I can, as long as I have access to the ISO, it's just like me plugging it into the USB inside of the machine in front of me, and I was able to get it. So now we have our Undercloud, which is a bare metal machine. We have a OS machine, which is going to become our controller, and then I have 3 compute nodes called OS Compute, OS Compute 2, and OS Compute 3 that we can install our OpenStack Cloud to. So it's pretty straightforward as soon as you get your head wrapped around it. This is a specific IBM Cloud thing, or if you have an old school data center, you probably have access to these things too. But just an FYI, if you do decide to go down this path with the IBM Cloud, for instance, the reason why I had to bring up a Windows box here to do this is I needed a way to jump into the network to get to the IPMI. Normally, the IPMI is not exposed to the actual internet because that would be a horrible security flaw because you could take over the machine at any time. So what at least in IBM does is it's on a private network, as you see up here, 1094.86.101, and also a private network on the other part of the subnet for internal communication, which is just a design of what we did it here at IBM. But the neat part about it is, as long as I got into a machine on that network, I can bring up the web GUI here and be able to pull everything down and do the work I need to, like I was doing on my normal machine. Does that make sense, Kevin? Or am I rambling now?
No, this makes total sense. It's actually really cool. Like, we were kind of, up a creek without a paddle with when it came to what we needed to do, right? And so being able to deploy our own operating system from an ISO or a netboot or image or whatever the case may be within our environment is pretty awesome.
And I just saw there was a gentleman named Major Hayden that just followed our IBM chat here, or IBM Twitch.
Ooh.
Twitch, yeah. That
Senior Hayden.
Yes, if he's actually there, that man is a rock star. And
he is.
He really, truly is. And it's very flattering to see that he's here, or at least was here.
Now we've embarrassed him, called him out, and he's bounced.
Exactly. Knowing our luck. But so yes. I do have one question for you.
Fire away.
Which is something I really didn't. Okay. I know. I should be using RHEL or CentOS or Fedora wherever I go because Red Hat. But there was a time in my life that I'd used another operating system that was started with a U and ended with Ubuntu. Yeah, I know. I'm bad. I know. And there was a really interesting little application on there called Fail to Ban, which I was able to use Fail to Ban really easily. So if I put some machines, i.e. these, out on the real internet, Fail to Ban would be... has some same defaults to make sure that it wouldn't people couldn't mess with it.
Sure.
I couldn't get Fail to Ban up on all these machines for the life of me. Is there something else we should be doing here? Or is like I couldn't just do like dnf install Fail to Ban and call it a day. Like it didn't do that. So what am I missing?
I think that's just an application that's not in the base repositories or not in the default repositories that are enabled. I'm almost certain it's an EPEL. So if you were to add the EPEL repository and then install Fail to Ban, we can try it. But in terms of Fail to Ban, it's there.
Okay.
It's
that was my mistake then, because it felt weird that it wasn't on stream. I would be like, wouldn't everybody want this on their machines? Like, why is this not kind of thing? It's like Vim, right? Like on the internet,
I don't know.
You should have.
Yeah, it's probably just not enabled in your base repositories. And if it is in the EPEL repositories, then you could install it through there. Or I'm sure there's an RPM out there that you can grab to install.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah, Fail to Ban is super useful. I mean, not to get on a tangent, but it is super useful. And the fact that you ran the operating system that shall not be named, that's perfectly fine. I used to run the same OS. I used to run OpenSUSE. Nice. I currently run Manjaro on my private laptop. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I ran Magi Linux for a little while. So they're all good. It's all community. It's all love.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, don't. I wouldn't pigeonhole anybody into like I'm a person. I'm an N-type Linux person. Like, who cares? It's all Linux.
I only do Linux from scratch. I don't touch anything else.
LFS. Yep. Indeed.
Anyway, I digress. Okay, so Kevin, take it away. Where are we?
So we just installed the latest updates. I was just showing the processor and memory. So to begin, the very first thing that we need to do is ensure that our host name is correct. And so we'll go ahead and just do that right quick. Right? Mm-hmm. We're using hostname CTL, set hostname. Do a little nested bash, and ta-da, it's correct.
Yay.
And then we'll do it again, but for our transient names. And we can take a look. And there it is, undercloud.local domain. The next step is actually we're going to create a user for our, that's going to be where we orchestrate our deployment from.
Right.
That's going to be our stack user, according to our documentation. But stack is just a name. It could be anything. It could be admin. It could be CentOS. It could be Johnny. Doesn't matter. So we're just going to create the stack user. So we'll just, do a quick little. Wheel.
Then dash G. Oh no.
User group. Oh, sorry. We want to append the groups.
Ah.
There we go.
Huzzah.
Ta-da. Now we want to be able to also the sudoers, right? Sudo ers.d. We got nothing in there. Cool. So we'll just create a quick little sudoers file. The sudo, basically we want our stack user to be able to escalate their privileges.
Yep.
What is it? All equals
No pass.
all. No pass WD : all.
Yep.
I think that's right. All right. Let's try it. Ta-da.
Yay.
All right, so now we're stack. Now that we've fixed our host name, we've created a quick user. We're actually going to pull down some repositories and get some things set up for TripleO, and we'll do that using the TripleO repos command line tool, which isn't installed yet, so we'll go install it. To do that, I'm going to copy and paste instead of you can watch me hunt and peck. But we're going to pull from the trunk of the RDO project. CentOS 8, current, DeLorean, yada, 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 yada.
Looks good.
All right. And now we're going to install Python. I think it's Python 3 TripleO repos. More sudo.
Yay.
And it'll go through its update stuff.
Not bad.
Huzzah. So now we're going to use our happy dappy little tool that we just installed, right? TripleO repos. TripleO repos. Looking at the tool itself, what does it do? It basically manages your repositories for you. So if you're using the upstream, this is something that is different, like if you're using the downstream RHEL versus the upstream TripleO. And that is, you would sell all of this up with your subscription manager. We're doing it with publicly accessible repositories, and we're doing it with the head of TripleO itself. So we're going to get the latest and greatest that TripleO has to offer.
So quick aside.
Yeah.
Does that mean, so whatever we install, it'll be the latest and greatest at that moment?
Correct.
The update path, would that be like we need to rebuild everything? Or is there is there a safe way to upgrade stuff that way? Or do we just never touch it again? What is the correct path?
Yeah, so you can do a couple of things. We're going to use the head of master for the point of this demonstration, and you can upgrade to the head of master. I actually manage a home cloud environment for my home infrastructure that is running the head of master that I update every couple of weeks or so. So I just treat it like a rolling release. But if you wanted to something that was more stable, you could use the branch. So, the Wallaby branch or the Victoria branch or whatever. And then just update from those branches.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, you have options. Downstream, we take care of all that for you.
Yep.
So like, this is a lot of manual work that you have to do because you're running the head of the upstream master.
Makes sense.
So, TripleO repos. That should be master current TripleO. More sudo.
Huzzah.
And what does that do? Right? Because you see it, we set up repos manually before, and then we set up repos again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's exactly what we did. It seems a little confusing, but I mean, what this tool does is it goes through and nukes repos that are incompatible. Like we're effectively managing your repos for you. So even though this is a manual step that you have to take care of yourself, there are tools that help you do it rapidly. Right?
Yep.
So pretty straightforward, pretty easy, if you will. But it is something that you just to call out. So now we install a bunch of packages. These are all packages that we know we need to have. Some of them are optional. You don't necessarily need the you don't necessarily need things like QEMU guest agents and things like that if you're deploying with images that you download and you're not building them and things like that. But we're going to pull them all down because this is what you would do for your cloud environment.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to install them. And that's going to take some time. So
next, I think we talked about this last time, but I'm going to ask again. The Undercloud, we're building a cloud again. We're using it. We're basically building everything we need on the cloud in the Undercloud, and then we're going to distribute it out. Could, in theory, the Undercloud be everything we need to run the cloud on a single machine?
Yeah, sense? So TripleO actually has, so if you wanted just a standalone node that does everything in one, an all-in-one, AIO, some people call it, TripleO has that concept, and that is what we call standalone. So yeah, we could run standalone. So the install process is roughly the same, very similar. And what that does is it provisions all of the OpenStack APIs and gives you a node, a single machine that, hey there, is it you Lotus? But so it gives you a single machine that you get to run everything from. We are actually going to attempt to build a fully functional cloud that's multi-node in the IBM cloud.
Well, I was thinking of someone who's watching this in the future. If they wanted to try it themselves, you don't need the full cloud that we're building, the hardware we're building here. You're more than welcome to, or you're more than welcome. There's an opportunity to try this on an extra desktop you have
100%
or something.
Yeah. I mean, even if you wanted to run it in the IBM cloud just as a virtual machine using standalone, you 100% could do that as well.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what we do in the OpenStack gates. So when we're doing our testing and our test ecosystem, we're building standalone environments and then exercising deployment code and code paths, APIs, etc.
Nice. Just to throw this in here, if anyone has any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to throw them in the chat. We are very much paying attention to it because we are literally watching packages install right now.
Yes, it's equivalent to watching paint dry, which is good. Yeah.
The sysadmin's life is that number on the far right-hand side, just going up and up and up.
Yeah. 75 of 555.
Yes, yay. It's actually quite fast. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. But, of course, I speak now, and now I jinxed it, of course.
Yeah. We're doomed for failure now.
Oh, JJ, learn to keep your mouth shut.
So yeah, this part takes a little bit of time because it is installing packages, and Really, the goal of the stream today is to get the Undercloud operational, and then we'll go and explore it. Talk
Mhm.
about some of the simplicity things. Can't talk. Simplicity things that we've implemented upstream, which is all stuff that's coming eventually downstream to
Mhm.
better empower customers and environments and everything else.
I like it. So, the notes that you're going through, or the way that which you're going through, is this published somewhere, or is this like your personal notes, or is this like, if I wanted to step myself, if I wanted to read ahead, for instance,
Mhm.
where should I look?
Well, we actually have all of our documentation is all created upstream as well. Let me grab a link to that right quick.
Cool.
But yeah, all of our trunk documentation that you can follow is robust. It's complete. It's pretty well maintained. Right. We're forcing folks to write updated documentation as they commit code. Right. So the
Nice.
like you're there is a risk that it will be out of date. That's totally true because it is upstream documentation.
Mhm.
But I will say that it's pretty well maintained from an upstream project that has a lot of legacy behind it.
Nice.
One moment, please.
Not a problem. I do like how we're mixing Ansible and Puppet in here. That
Oh yeah,
was that's that's fun stuff. Fun stuff. It's from a previous generation Graybeard War over here. Seen some battles on those
yeah,
battlefields.
yeah.
Yeah.
I still have those gray hairs.
uh, as long as it's not bconfig 2, we're fine.
Yeah.
Getting close.
Cool. I just dropped a quick little link
Perfect.
in the chat. But
For our
yes,
peop-
that is the latest docs.
for our friends in the future, it should be on the video now, not just in the chat. So we'll just take it right there. It's oh yeah, so that was a good question. I went to rdioproject.org.
Huh?
What is the RDO project compared to TripleO compared to, yeah, like, so we're playing with TripleO, which is the upstream version of the RDO project. Is that right?
Yes. Well,
Yes.
no. So RDO project is the package building solution for OpenStack, right? So
Okay.
if you go to rdoproject.org,
Yes.
you'll see it, right? And you can try it in three ways, which is, quick start. You
Mm-hmm.
can use TripleO, and you can use PackStack. And so it doesn't differentiate from one versus the other
Got it.
as a means to install OpenStack. It is just simply providing up-to-date packages for the installation of OpenStack on uh, RHEL-like systems.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I was trying to find the tree, if you will, of where we are in the in the
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so we have the repos for RDO installed. That was one of the things we did with TripleO repos,
yes. Yes.
and so technically we could just start installing packages to start delivering our OpenStack cloud. But we're using TripleO as a deployment mechanism to install those packages and manage these systems. Because TripleO it's a lifecycle management tool, right? So it's allowing you to provide updates to systems or
Mm-hmm.
turn them off, power them on, scale up, scale down, uh, modify
Nice.
roles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of power that TripleO provides out of the
Mm-hmm.
box, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's what we're building with. But like I said, there's nothing stopping us from going off and using the RDO packages. In fact, if somebody out in the ether is watching this and like, hey, can I use RDO to install OpenStack? Yes, you can. You just install your repos and away you go.
Nice.
It will give you access to all the packages that you need or want, and it should be it's pretty straightforward. Now, obviously, you need to follow like the deployment guides in upstream OpenStack itself.
Mm-hmm.
Something like the Fedora deployment guide or something. I'd have to go and see what the latest is, but there's package-based deployment guides out there, and you would follow something like that. Whereas with TripleO, you're following the TripleO deployment guide, which is what we linked to earlier.
Yep. That I accidentally clicked twice just a moment ago. Okay, so we're complete.
We are. We have installed our packages.
Okay. Gotta
Any
have
questions?
that X11. Gotta have that
Indeed,
X11 on
indeed.
there.
You need that server. You didn't know you needed it, but those fonts are important.
Exactly.
Any questions from the from chat? I see we've got 10 odd folks in the chat,
Yes.
according to my Twitch control panel. So,
Yes.
what say you?
Exactly. We get a +1 to say people are actually listening to us. How about that?
Yeah. F in chat.
Gotta give that 10-second delay.
Indeed. Yeah, takes a couple seconds. There it is. F in chat.
Huzzah! Thank you.
All right, so the next step, we need to deploy our Undercloud.
Yes.
That's really the next step. Hello, PNUW IBM.
Yes, hello.
So in order to process, or in order to deploy our Undercloud, we need to render some templates and then run the Undercloud deployment.
Seems reasonable.
Indeed, right? So, what have we? We have nothing.
Nothing at all.
Right? So, we have installed some packages. We have set up our environment. We've created a user. We've kicked our CentOS 8 stream box. We are now going to deploy the Undercloud application, which is actually a whole bunch of different applications. And so that is going to set everything up, generate some templates, et cetera. So, yeah, let's get at that. Dun, dun, dun. I'm kind of slow rolling to see if any questions come in.
Yes. I'm patiently. I'm watching it. Watching it.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we're going to talk about the Openstack client real quick, and then how that all kind of pulls together. We'll set some variables and kind of go from there. So the first variable that we'll set is our THT variable, and this is largely because I'm lazy. And so that is going back to our templates directory.
Ah.
This is part of the packages we've already installed. So given that the templates are there, we can actually dive into them. We can talk a little bit about them if that's of interest to folks. But yeah, it's pretty much, this is the basis of our templates, and we can define user-defined templates, and then we'll generate data from that templates. As you can see, there's templates in there that's like overcloud.j2.yaml. And if we crack open one of them, you'll see there's a bunch of Jinja stuff. And so this is just generating data that we are going to use for the remainder of our deployment. But before we can deploy our Undercloud, we need to process our templates.
Okay. Are there sane defaults in these templates?
For the Undercloud, yes. We can. There's a ton of options that you can use off the rip. But yeah, there's For the Undercloud, we're just going to accept the defaults for this deployment, right? We're not dealing with things that are overly complex or require specialized networking or configuration or integration. So we are just going to accept the defaults, at least from this point of view. All right. Net data. No, this is the net data file is what we're going to kind of dive into next. It's empty. I'm going to populate one with some basic stuff, and then we'll jump back over into your IBM control panel and then put actually our network information in there.
Okay.
Well,
set paste.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to assume we've got no IPv6 stuff and that our networks are on a single VLAN. Yeah? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Like there's not a lot of network separation there?
No.
Okay. So yeah, let's queue up your IBM cloud interface, and we'll take the network information and begin populating this file.
All right. So I imagine you want to go through the private network for communication. We don't want to talk to any of the go through the public IPs at all, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So
yeah, if we have like total success, the public IPs we'll put into Neutron and give to our virtual machines as floating IPs.
Nice.
So all of this will be on the private network.
Okay. Just thinking about it.
Indeed.
The other path of watching the number go up, you watch something spin.
The spinny ball, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in this case, the spinny line.
Yes. Yeah. Is it a snake that's eating its own tail?
It could be. It could be.
Yeah, I don't really know. It's not a clock.
No, no. Spinning out of control.
Right.
Could be in a flat spin. Like something out of Top Gun.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I watched the new Matrix last night for the first time.
Oh, your thoughts?
I wish I had my 2 hours and 30 minutes back in my life.
Yeah. Well, that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I no spoilers, so I'm gonna talk about the movie too much, but my impression of the film was that it A, didn't need to happen, and B, I really disliked the ending.
Yes.
Yeah, like the movie itself was entertaining, but the ending was sus.
Yes.
It was sus.
And I'm not. This is a minor spoiler. Minor.
Okay.
They had way too many cutbacks, like actual scenes from the first movies in the actual movie. Like they were like, "Oh, we just forgot to like film this portion of the movie, so we'll put the scene from the left." It just come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. They're like, so what a bummer. We couldn't get that actor back.
Yep.
Okay,
you think that's what they did?
I don't know. I don't know. Who knows what the politics of that looked like.
Yeah. But you're right. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Okay, anyway, here we go. Here is one of the machines. Here is the
Yeah. So what subnets are we going to apply to these machines?
Here is a /26 for the internal network here.
Mhm. That's a real network that's being used by the machine itself, right?
Yes.
All right. So we'll put that under management.
Um,
So what's that
slash
cider?
/26 1094 86 64.
94, 86, 64, 26.
Yep. The gateway is 65.
65?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The start is 66, and the end is 126.
You said 66 and 126.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Cool.
And I guess for the internal network, for the
Yeah,
tenants,
does our internal network have a specific subnet that we want to put it on, or are these random ones good enough?
yeah, these are all Class B private ones, right? There's nothing
Correct.
too crazy here. Yeah, I mean that's fine, right? Like,
Sure.
it's not bad, right? Like,
Good enough for
yeah,
government work.
yeah, it's good enough for me.
And some of this is just not going to get used, right? We're
Yeah.
not going to have a specific storage network or management because it's just not. We're not going to have that many nodes.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Now that works better.
it did.
So those J2 files that we had in our first path here are now rendered files. There.
Huzzah!
Great success.
Yes.
This will all be referenced later when we actually do the overcloud deployment, which will probably not be today. But yeah, so now we're actually going to just kick off our undercloud deployment and then use the our process of filling time to fill some time.
Sounds good.
All right. So, quick comments about this command. We're using the Openstack command, like the Openstack CLI that you would use to control your overcloud, like to control your cloud itself, right? Provisioning VMs, networks, yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. We're using the OpenStack command itself to deploy our undercloud, and then we'll use it again to deploy our overcloud. Undercloud being the configuration and deployment machine, overcloud being your consumables, your compute nodes, your controllers, et cetera. So just calling it out, that's we're basically, when we're talking about TripleO, it's OpenStack on OpenStack, right? While we have taken great strides to limit the scope of some of those things so that we're not using a million resources to just control our cloud, but we are still using OpenStack to deploy OpenStack.
That is pretty neat.
It's neat. So it's a plugin. If you go and search for on in the OpenStack organization, you'll see OpenStack Python TripleO client, and that's something that we maintain, and that's true both upstream and downstream.
I don't like that no validations chat line.
I'm just turning it off because the validations are super useful when you're deploying a production cloud. You want it to go through and make sure that this works as I expect, and that works as I expect, and these nodes are online, et cetera, et cetera. we have basically a 3-node environment, right? The undercloud, a controller, and a compute node. While we could run the validations, there's not a lot of need.
Okay.
All they'll do is extend our deployment times. In a production environment, that would be okay. Like I said, because you want to know, like, hey, you misconfigured this, and validations will do that for you.
Yeah, that's a good question here. So if I was actually doing this in a production environment, so obviously you're not going to throw random engineer and be like, hey, go build me an OpenStack cluster, right? Like you're not going to go tell somebody go to do this.
I don't know, actually. Like having not, I haven't personally been in that situation myself. However, coming from a previous organization, I did a lot of work with the OpenStack Ansible team. And a lot of the folks that came into that community were like, hey, my boss said, make cloud, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's fair to assume you have two distinct users, and those are the ones that have come in with the idea, hey, I'm going to build a cloud to solve this problem. And then you have the other side of the coin where it's like, my organization has determined that cloud is the only way forward, and this is what we must do. So,
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Okay, how about academically then?
Okay. Yeah.
Academically, I'd imagine like someone would come into this world and they'd first like try something like DevStack, right, on a machine
Sure.
to
Yeah.
try to get that up and going. When do you now this would be like a step above DevStack is what we're building here, right? If you will, where it's a
Sure.
very straightforward 3-node or 3 compute node, one controller infrastructure.
Yeah.
Where do you, in your mind, jump to a more quote unquote production? Like, how would you build up to that? Like, if we had to build a storage network, like on this thing, like as you said, we weren't going to use the storage network because we don't have network storage here. Where in your mind does an engineer get to that point where they can be like, okay, now I can tack on the storage, so I can like piecemeal this thing up, or mentally, so I understand what's happening? Do you see what I'm asking? And
No, yeah, something was unhappy, but the where would I find? I don't necessarily think there is a ladder that you have to climb. You're like,
Yeah.
well, I've got 5 nodes, so it's time to upgrade to some more robust management of some sort, or like I need more throughput, so I'm building out a storage network, right? I don't think there is a guide that's like a litmus test, if you will, that is like, I'm going to put this in here and it's going to output green, and so I need to do these things. I think it's really up to the organization. They need to make an informed decision on what they're building and how they want to build it. I think is really what it boils down to.
Very, very political answer. I like it.
Yes, thank you. I feel like I skirted the question really well.
You did.
But I mean, yeah, I really do, because if you're coming into a data center and you've got 1 gigabit switches and you're like, I need a storage network because reasons, you're like, well, maybe you're not solving really the problem that you think you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
And vice versa. You're like, oh, I've got InfiniBand gear. Like, well, maybe you're not using it well enough.
Exactly.
So there's unable to read MAC address ETH1. Okay, so that is coming from our Undercloud config.
It's not ETH1. It is
correct.
That is a very different.
It is completely different, indeed. So we need to go and update that. But yeah, let's go and I don't want to do that. We're going to go back and look through everything that it gave us, which is quite a bit of output.
Sysclass net.
Yeah, it's looking for ETH1.
OS config or OS net config YAML.
Yeah, so this is looking at our uh, OSNet config is how we configure network interfaces, and that's one of those templates that
Got it.
we were relying on before.
Oh, and even give us in the info line right there. It's like, oh no, I found this one. That's the active nick, but
Yeah,
it's not the one
the
I thought it was.
ENP yada yada yada.
Yep.
Yeah. So we are going to update that here momentarily. I think first we're going to create a new undercloud. Well, so we can modify the undercloud config, or we can create a new one. Um, I think we'll probably just create a new one.
Our net data is going to be the same minus the change to this thing, right?
Yeah, everything else in the payload is going to remain the same.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is the output that you can expect if something breaks.
Very Ansible-ish.
It is in fact Ansible underneath the hoods. So yeah, if you look at the output there, that is an Ansible recap. Because yeah, while I mentioned we are using the Openstack Python client to do all of this orchestration for us, that's leveraging other tools via Python, one of which is Ansible. And that's all being done through an Ansible integration library called Ansible Runner.
Oh, nice.
Which is neat.
That is very neat.
All right. So, Ansible for the win, indeed.
Mm.
So, Ansible for the win. I was going to show you how to go and find the Undercloud conf. But anyways, yeah, here's our user share Python TripleO client undercloud conf.sample. And I guess we'll take this opportunity, which I skirted over last time, to talk about the options you have. Right. So with our deployment, we're using pre-deployed servers. So
Yes.
they're servers, they're online. JJ has kicked. We talked about that earlier via ISO. But the Undercloud itself can also manage bare metal. And that's done through the OpenStack Ironic project. And so you just give it access to provision the bare metal machines, and it will provision them. It will set them up. It will configure network spawns. You can also tell it to clean machines. So when you take a node offline, it wipes the disks, right? And so it basically will spin up an ephemeral image, boot up the machine, wipe the disks, and then turn it off and put it back into the pool so that it can be used later. So like if you were building out a cloud that was using Ironic and giving those bare metal resources like the IBM cloud is doing for us, you could do that and give it out to your end users, right? So they could use it, they could abuse it. You put it back into the pool, it destroys the machine, and you provision it again. Anyways, wiping your nodes is useful.
That's pretty neat. That's really neat.
Yeah. But the setting we want to change here is here, right? The local interface.
Mm-hmm.
More sudo.
Of course.
Yeah. ETH1. This is our local interface. This is what failed.
Mm-hmm.
It was telling us, if we go back to that stack trace, which we'll do here in just a second, it said that it was trying to look for a local interface ETH1. And it was not working.
Yep.
But our local interface is what? ENP. I can't type today because people are watching me.
EMP2 SF.
This is our public interface.
Oh,
So is it ENP2S0F0 or ENP2S0F1?
okay. So that's a good question. And it's one is actually, so ETH0 is ETH0, ETH1, ETH2, ETH3.
So this one. So that's our ETH0. That's our gateway, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Negative. It looks like ENP2 is our is our gateway device. ENP2
ETH
S0F1.
ETH0 is the private.
Okay. ETH0 is the private. Glad I asked.
Good old, what is it? Um, System D messing with our ETH network names again.
Yeah. This is the unique naming.
Yes.
All right. So ENP2 S0F0.
So you edited the sample file. Is that bad?
I'm gonna put it into my
Ah.
into my home directory. Yeah, this is a. I should have just done this to begin with. Right, and then yeah, you're fine. You're fine. This is all good. All right. So this is in our home directory now, and we should be able to now use it to provision what we actually expect. Right.
Okay.
So we'll rerun that. We have it in a teammate as well. We're 3 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm trying to make sure I'm managing the clock well.
Nice.
Yes.
I mean, if we want to wait till it finishes, I'm okay with that. Like,
Okay.
I'm okay with it. It's not like we're gonna get kicked off or anything.
All right, perfect. Yeah, there's nobody coming in after us.
No, not that I know of.
All right. So now we go again.
Oh no, we saw that last time.
Oh yeah, it's generating the same data as it did before.
So it's a good opportunity. If anyone has any questions or thoughts, throw them in chat, please. We'd love to answer them. I'm Pisces. Actually, my birthday is coming up in about a month's time.
As is mine.
Oh, really?
Yes, March 5th.
March 26th of February for me.
Oh, look at that. Pisces for the win.
Exactly.
Yes.
I like it.
Pescados.
Do you like long walks also, or are you more of a Netflix
Yeah.
and chill kind of guy?
Yeah. I like the windy walks.
Yeah.
I went on a walk yesterday with my dogs. It was about 4 miles.
Oh, wow.
I put up some pictures on Twitter. My dog was well, I've got 3 dogs, but one of them is a Havanese. He looks like a little fur ball, fluff ball. But he was just rolling around in the dirt, having the best day of his life. It was funny. It was funny. We laughed. There was much laughter.
I actually just put my dog into boot camp today.
Oh,
Boarding training school.
nice.
My 2 daughters, they both bought teary-eyed, dropping them off because they had to say bye.
Oh.
I'm like, he's going to summer camp. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
What's the boot camp for? Is it like a full like behavior training, or like he's
Yeah.
puppy, or?
Oh, he's a little bit older than puppy. He's about a
Okay.
year and 2 months, and we've tried. We tried. We just like we're not skilled.
You're not Caesar Milan?
Yeah, no, we're not. We've tried. Like he has great moments, but there's.
Okay.
I mean, he's been starting to nip too, which is not great.
That's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're just like, you know what? We just need professional help. We know
That's good.
We know when we need to throw in the towel and bring in the professional thing.
It's fair.
Yeah. So patiently waiting for that now. Day 1, we'll see how it goes. He was ecstatic when we took him there, because all of a sudden, there's all these new smells and all, and
New smells, new dogs.
exactly.
Yeah. Things and stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
He was sniffing something or whatever, and my oldest was like trying to pull him away, and I'm like, you realize that's him being on TikTok right now. You're like pulling him away from TikTok, and she's like, what? Yeah, that's what dogs do. They smell and they get information that way. She looked at me like I was crazy, and I'm like, no. It's like when I tried to take TikTok away from you, that's what you're doing to him. She's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. This is screen time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep. Dogs are great. Like I said, I have 3 of them. They're fun. Fun little buggers.
You got little ones too, right? Like you don't have any big ones?
No big ones. Yeah, almost 30 pounds, 20 pounds, and 12 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just that you like the idea of small dogs, or how did that come together?
The first one we adopted, well, all three are adopted, but the first one that we adopted, we got him at a shelter. He was small. He was a terrier. We actually, so that's a funny story. We actually went to the shelter to go and adopt a cat, and we were out, my wife and I, interacting with cats, doing the cat things, and as I was sitting there petting this cat, one of the other cats just ran up and scratched me. Basically,
Aw.
was just wanted me to know that I was unwelcomed, which was fine. I understood, and I was like, "All right, I'm out. Just drop mic. I'm done with this." And so that's what we did. We noped out, and then there was this dog. His name is Felipe, but that's what we named him. But he was in a pen. He had just been fixed. He was kind of getting ignored. Nobody wanted to play with him because he was ignoring the world. He just got fixed, so he was sedated and things. And he's a little terrier. And we sat there and played with him for I don't know, like 2 hours. We're like, all right, I think we're gonna take home a dog. But yeah, and then that's what happened. We took home a dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, so that's how we became dog people. And then like the next one was there was this dog that needed a home because he had parvo, and parvo's a disease that puppies get. I mean, any dog can get it, but puppies primarily. And he needed a house, and wasn't going to survive if he didn't get a home. And so we took him. And we never gave him back. No, I mean we went through the whole adoption process, but
Yeah, of course.
yeah. That's our. So the first two were a terrier and a Maltese. Yeah, and then over the years we had a revolving door of animals that we were fostering on a pretty regular basis. And then the last one, Sammy, he's the Havanese one. We were also fostering. He decided that. He was afraid. He was afraid of everything. He was afraid of everything. He would be like, if you looked at him wrong or yelled at him, he would pee. If you touched him, he'd pee. He was just scared of everything.
Right.
And so, but he loved my wife. And so we foster failed. Yeah. But now he loves me.
You just were looking for your fifth member of their family.
That's it. Yeah. That's our pack.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's understood.
So in this stage of the deployment, as we are filling time, we're way past the ETH1 problem, which is great.
Yes.
And we're pulling down container images. Because one of the things that TripleO does is the containerized deployment of OpenStack. And that's done using Podman. And so we're pulling the latest TripleO images from Quay or Key, or however you want to pronounce it. Key.io or Quay.io. I don't know how it's pronounced. But yes, we just got through the containerized image pull.
Nice. I actually didn't know that. I assumed it was still installed
It was
in
not.
a virtual environment or something.
Nope. OpenStack Ansible deploys everything in virtual environments, and uses LXC containers where it needs to for service separation. But TripleO is all containers from start to finish, and they're built using the RDO repositories and RDO packages.
Nice.
So, yep.
Yeah, I feel like I need to blow away my hypervisor machine and try to put TripleO on there now.
You should do it.
Because, I mean, I just have like KVM on there, and I just throw some KVM machines in it or whatever. But it'd be nice to use some actual tooling on top of it, instead of...
Truth be told, I use Fedora machines for my home lab, and then I run KVM on the Fedora machines. And then I put OpenStack inside of virtual machines and use nested virt.
Oh.
So
Performance got to be atrocious, though.
No, nested virt performance is pretty good.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they get native I/O because I give them a drive where all of the VMs are provisioned. It's an NVMe drive, HP 1 terabyte NVMe stick, and then I run all of my VMs off that. So it's nested vert from a compute and control plane, but the VMs themselves are running off of. They're not running out of a QCOW disk or anything like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, performance is pretty good. Like I do some tech and game streaming and whatnot from time to time on my other channel, and I run all of that through the nested vert.
Mm,
Yeah.
all right. Maybe I can add it to my backlog of things I need to do.
Yeah. I mean, sure. There's no argument that native, vert on a machine is going to be a lot better in terms of overall performance. But I do that so that I can run things outside of the OpenStack environment.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
We are on step 3, it seems.
Almost done.
Almost. How about now?
Yeah. 5 more minutes. That's what my dad used to tell me. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. It's fine.
Yeah. How long is this going to take? 5 more minutes. I mean, we could be driving across the country.
Yep.
Like, 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Just close your eyes. You'll be fine.
Yeah. We're on our way. Count the dots on the road.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Actually, my mom used to tell me to count the what is it? The train, the cars in the train.
Oh yeah.
You'd see like freight trains go by, like see how many you can get and see which train has the most.
Yeah.
Me and my dumbass self would like look for trains, count them, and not realize it was killing like 30 minutes of a drive or whatever. And
Sure.
I'd report back, and she's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Oh,
You might want to count again.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, come on."
Yeah. Yeah. This is before everybody had a
TikTok.
cell phone and TikTok.
Exactly. Kids these days and their internets and computers.
Damn.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Them and their TikToks. This is multiple TikTok videos right here.
Yeah. Indeed. A couple YouTube shorts.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Step 4 now. Step 4.
It's almost done.
Almost done.
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, as we're wrapping up here, I guess we'll still do a little bit of exploration because it'd be neat to see what's going on. But
Sure.
we still have a couple people still hanging on. Do you have any questions or thoughts? Please don't hesitate to throw those in the chat. We'd love to answer anything. About this kind of stuff because I know I would. Yeah, the reason why we're doing this is because I wanted to see how this was done. Right, like that was the whole point. But you probably have questions on kind of where to go from here or anything like that. It'd be great to see what we can answer.
Questions, comments, criticism, by all means, fire away.
Hyra
DB.
So you'll
Ruh-roh.
broke. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Eliadus. No questions. Been here for the first time. It was fun to watch. Awesome. Kevin has his own stream too. Follow him on Twitter. I'll throw that stuff up here in a little bit. He does streaming pretty regularly too. And then the IBM Developer Twitch channel here. We have a sporadic. Yeah. What happened?
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
We have a sporadic kind of streaming schedule. Just follow us, and you'll see different things ranging from conferences to me streaming with some people to some Java work. There's a lot of neat stuff going on. So please stick around as the year progresses. Sorry, what was going on?
The default cloud name is Undercloud. And our cloud name is Under-Cloud.
Cloud, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Because I couldn't call the machine Under Cloud because we had that other machine called that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's all good.
Oh, but I guess this configuration's more or less idempotent too, right? It's
Yeah,
all
yeah, we
yeah.
can pretty much run it again. It will regenerate a bunch of stuff. And
That's
so
fine.
we'll just kick it off and
Yeah.
let it do its thing. Yeah, no question here. Fun to watch. Appreciate you being here. Watching two people fumble around.
That's one way to describe it. That's one way to
Yeah.
describe it.
Just making sure I
Mhm.
I get through all of this stuff.
Something else jumps at us. Awesome. Thanks for sticking around, and we're still going, so don't run away yet. It'd be great to see you come back. Host name right there. Host name.
Is that it? Yeah, Undercloud, fully qualified domain name. No, that should use the current host name
Mm.
if undefined.
Nobody likes SE Unix. Sorry, Major.
It is enforcing.
Oh. No, it's
I,
fine.
I'm a bad person. Was it an SE Linux there?
No, it was a username or host
Yeah,
name issue.
it looked like a hostname issue.
Yeah. Well, that second one is actually can't find the Hiera config. Yeah. Where was it? It was a
Keystone enabled. Hiera returns exit status 1.
yeah.
Error.
Yeah, the
var
config
lib
right
heat
there.
config.
Yeah, the no start for Etsy Puppet Labs Puppet Hiera YAML not found.
Weird.
Which I'm assuming is something after the fact.
Yeah, that's the top. Output for async deployment undercloud.
Yeah, still can't find the config file.
Not found.
Nothing there. Puppet's installed. I saw it install. Ooh. Interesting.
Indeed.
Is this the disadvantage of running head?
Could be. I did do a deployment the other day just to make sure it all that it all worked. Nope, that's not a part of the path. It's interesting that it was referencing that though.
Mm-hmm.
Etsy Puppet Labs. Yeah, config file Etsy Puppet Labs Puppet Hiera YAML not found. That's in the software deployment.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go a little further up. Conde, bare metal. Yeah, failed to start Hira. Config file not found. Very peculiar.
Yes. Isn't there a CLI Hira? Oh no, it is installed. It's just installed in the wrong location. Do you want to be
Well,
bad and just
it's.
create a symlink?
I mean, we could. I feel terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, it gets past the the egg about the
Yeah.
problem. Shh! Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Okay. Oh, I went back one too far. Oh, we're good. That was part of wheel.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on before you. Oh, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say run the make sure the file can get there, or you can cat out that file real quick. Ah.
I could if I had,
Oh,
if I
sudo.
sudoed. Yeah.
Again, sudo.
Yeah, more sudo.
Store of our lives.
Indeed. One more time for the one time.
Exactly. By the way, while this is going, I learned about this today that would be very apropos for our little stream.
Ooh, do tell.
This is very interesting. For dev. Free for dev, free-4.dev. I'll throw this up in the caption also. Free-4.dev. If you do not know about this, this is a bunch of free resources for developers. Pretty much anything and everything you can think of in here is in here. So, Kevin, what's a resource you've been looking for?
The
Just give me something so I can just bring it up.
a database.
Database. All right, here we
Yeah.
go. Database as service. Boom. All these have free offerings of free database for services for developers.
Oh, well, that's handy.
Yeah. So anything ranging from InfluxDB to Mongo to Yugabyte. It's compatible with Postgres. So let's just say it's Postgres. But anyway, so this is pretty helpful. Pretty helpful.
Yeah, it's cool. Free for dev.
Free-4.dev.
Today I learned.
See, you come to the stream, and I'll teach you something too. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just one way.
No. Oh, yeah. I'm learning every day.
Okay. All right. Think about Ansible again. Here we go.
Ready, set, go.
Should we put a bug report in saying the Puppet Labs thing? Or is that being...
I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah?
When we get off this, I'm gonna go and figure that out. I'll follow up and let you know if there was a bug somewhere.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now all we got to do is build a Jenkins bot that builds this as a AIO instance every patch that comes in. Tries it over and over and over again.
We have that.
I guess that's a Zool,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's what Zool does. Yeah.
I've always wanted to set up Zool just to say that I know how to set it up. Just like when I did Linux from scratch. I want to be able to do Linux from scratch. I've done it twice in my life. Just to say, yes, I can do Linux from scratch. And I've always wanted to get Zool running just to say I can say I know how Zool works. But every time I try, I'm just like,
to this day, I have
me.
never set up my own Zool environment.
It breaks me, man. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm just like I have kids, right?
Yeah. Fair.
I can't run Arch Linux because I have kids, or Nix.
Gotta run Manjaro.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the same. That's the same thing with Zool. Like if I didn't have kids and I wasn't married and I just
didn't have other responsibilities.
Exactly. Maybe
Yes.
I could get Zool running. But,
you could do it. I have faith.
I also need a reason to run Zool. That's another problem. Like,
well, there's that.
Yeah, I don't really have a reason to.
Yeah.
The
I
team
pretty
that made it, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. The team that made it, they're stellar.
They really
They're
are.
rock stars. I abuse the heck out of GitHub Actions.
GitHub Actions.
Yeah.
But
that's just a factor of me being incredibly lazy, not wanting to run my own Zool.
Well, I mean, super lazy. I would have thought you would have stuck with just Travis and not even bothered to migrate.
Oh no! GitHub Actions is Travis on steroids.
Oh. Well, what's the major pull for you then?
I have to do nothing to make it work.
Okay, that's valid.
Yeah, it's nothing. Literally nothing.
You just copy over the same GitHub directory and workflows or whatever and call it a day.
I mean, you can set up your own workflows, and I have done quite a bit of workflow stuff, but you don't have to. You can just click the button and and then it'll start doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. So it works pretty well too. I wish they had a base operating system. If anybody from the GitHub ecosystem is watching, that allowed me to run on, CentOS or Fedora. The images are Ubuntu, macOS, I think Windows. But yeah, but they're not. I wish there was a CentOS version of it. And I know I can run a node, and I can delegate to my own virtual machines that it could be running CentOS of some sort. So that's a valid response. I just wish there was a way to run CHstream or something like that. For my dev workflow, that would be ideal. But maybe sometime in the after now.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's no way to run Fedora.
No.
And the self-hosted GitHub runners. Aw. No.
I'm not sure. It's the same error.
All right.
Well, this could be the plight of running head.
Yep.
But I'll figure it out, and we'll have a functional Undercloud when we come back next week.
Sounds good. Let me pull the share screen off real quick. And then any last thoughts or things you'd like to say before we say adieu?
No, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Folks in chat, thanks for hanging out, watching, doing the things with the thing. Yeah, you Lotus. I appreciate you chiming in.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week. And, follow Kevin on Twitter and all that jazz. Cloud Null. Yes?
Yep. Cloud Null.
Then we're back next week. We're gonna continue on, and before you know it, we'll get over this hump. And also, if you chimed in later, this will be up on YouTube, so you can find it there. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the issue is with our Undercloud domain name / host name. So I'm gonna go figure that out. But like I said, I will take that offline, and when we come back.
Yeah, you can change it to. You can just change it to Undercloud, one word, for the host name. There's no DNS attached to it, so there shouldn't be a problem.
Let's see.
Think about it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think you're right. I mean, yeah. There's no DNS there, so I should be able to just give it a flip flop.
Right.
We'll do that in the next one. Well, I'll do that offline, but we'll have a functional Undercloud in the next one.
Perfect. All right. Say bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, everybody.